My earliest memory is riding in my grandfather's boat, arm over the side, hand in the spray. I've spent much of the rest of my life chasing this feeling. All of that has led to this, the wooden boat experience. Okay, you guys are probably wondering why I titled this episode Obtainium. Well, Obtainium is a material, and this teak right here is Obtainium, and this teak is what I made these trim pieces out of last week and put on the boat. And Obtainium to me is something that you acquire for free. Now, I learned about the word from my friend Lorraine, who is an artist, and she has a bit more of a nefarious nature than I do. So you should check out and read her definition, which I will get to you guys through either Patreon or I'll post it on YouTube. So read it, it's pretty funny. But Obtainium is a cool thing, and I'm sure all of you have gotten one little piece of it or a lot of it at different times in your life. And it's the sweetest stuff to put on the boat because it didn't cost you anything. So check that definition out, and I'm going to get back to steaming the ribs, which is what I'm waiting for right now. What do you say? We take it back apart and then put it together the right way. Give me your ball. Where's your ball? Thank you. Get it. Bolts right here. These are now bronze, and this one is stainless, but it's going to be changed. So Now you can see we've got some issues here. This outer layer, this one seems to be okay. This has some issues and a little bit here. My plan is that once this 5200 cures, pull these screws back out, plane this down, and epoxy another layer of wood on the outside of this to match up, and I'll do the same thing on the other side. And in case you're wondering, let me get you out of there. You're saying, well, why? You've got a joint here and you've got a joint here. Well, the water line is about up here, so only a little bit of this will show when I get done. Finish bright, the rest of this up here, and all this will be planed off even. But down here's all gets painted. So, you know, I can put a little filler here. This will be almost flush when it's planed. Plug all these holes and that'll get painted over, so it won't be an issue. I started out with a hand plane, which wasn't working very well, and I don't have a shaving plane, so I got the electric plane out. This is not for the faint of heart. So I had messed with this transom before. I had sanded a lot on here, and it really was taking forever and wasn't getting what I wanted. So I decided to bite the bullet, grab my hand planer, the electric one, which you saw in the time lapse just now, and run it across here on the lowest possible setting and just kind of clean all this off. But what it ends up doing is, because it's just a small surface, you get these little ridges. And you could sand and sand and sand, and eventually with a lawn board you might get these out. But that's where this comes in handy, a card scraper. A lot faster than sandpaper's going to. So I'll get it close with a scraper, and then I'll finish it up with sandpaper. I can tell you that scraping and sanding this transom was about the hardest thing I've done in a while. Hardest hour and a half I've spent in the boathouse that I can remember. I was pretty sore the next day. Now I'm sure some of you saw what I did using this electric planer on this transom and thought, oh man, that could go really bad. Well, I was thinking the same thing. But I had sanded, I had done a bunch of stuff, and I just wasn't happy with the way it was looking. So I decided to set it as low as it possibly went, so if I did do some damage, I could fix it. And I went across, and honestly, I mean, you saw from the time lapse, it was a big job. And there's a couple little spots I'm still looking at where I've got to hit it with some sandpaper again, but it's pretty close. And I'm pretty happy with the way it looks. And I think it's going to turn out nice. And I don't think I could have sanded enough, not me anyway, to get it to this point. So, was it a crazy thing to do? Probably, but it worked. And I didn't take very much material off. I had it set just a tiny bit above nothing. One of the things I really want to deal with today is this spot right here, because if we take a look at the transom, it is looking pretty good. The bungs are in. There's one spot to be taken care of down near that bolt, but in general it's pretty good, except for right here. So if we're going to make a Dutchman, we want to be able to cut the piece, the Dutchman that's going in there, easily. So we'll use this scraper, take that whole section out of there, and now we know that that is square, and the only odd shape will be this very end right here. So we're going to dig this out, back in, I don't know, maybe 1/4 of an inch or so. and then we'll make a Dutchman for it. Almost. One more sand. Okay, let's finish opening this up. Another shipment from Total Boat. You know, one of my favorites. Some of these that come along with it. Some varnish. We're going to need that soon. Some more 1 1/4 inch and more 1 1/4 inch silicone bronze. And also some 1 1/4 inch stainless steel. A while ago, somebody commented that I might be a good idea to use a router to do these edges, and that probably would work. I don't know if it'd really be faster, but I tend to favor hand tools when I can. The other thing that I'm trying to do with steam bending is really get to know what the wood does, what it looks like before, and what it does during steam bending. So when I'm hand planing these, I'm seeing where it comes to a V, where it might split out if I bend it that direction. This pile is ones I think are going to be more of a problem than these. These are the better ones. Would have been smart not to make it so fat, huh? Now we're pretty close. Now we'll just wait for it to cure the rest of the way and then we'll sand it. So if you've been watching, you've seen me do a lot of these refastening these screws on the old ribs and the new ribs and everything in a time lapse, but I thought it was important to show you guys what it looked like when it really happened. Sometimes the hardest part is figuring out where exactly. So this right here is a copper nail, a clinch nail, and so is this one. So you've got usually 4 copper clinch nails in between each screw. So the copper clinch nails tie the straight together between the ribs. So this, we're going to find putty, and we're going to find a screw, not a nail. So right here are two of the ribs that I added yesterday that I steam bent in. And then the next rib is going to be right here. Now you can see that these have new screws in them, but all of the other ribs I am going to refasten. The original ones. So we get the putty out of there. Come in with our Frierson screwdriver. And the screw that's coming out of here is a number 8. Now this is an old boat, 1955. Screw's not in bad shape, but these countersinks, and this one's not bad, but a lot of them are pretty ragged. So what we're going to do is come back in and drill a new countersink. So this was a number 8 that I took out. I'm going to come in and make a new countersink with a number 10. Now this is above the water line. Now I'm a firm believer, and I know there's going to be a lot of arguments about this, but I'm a firm believer in no stainless steel below the water line, but above the water line, I don't mind it. So I did the countersink. I put a little bit of wax on this number 10 stainless steel flathead screw. Bring that in, tighten it up. Now we've got a nice clean hole here that I can putty over when I redo this area, and that will look really good, and the ribs are going to be well done. So below the water line, we would be using these number 10 Frierson silicone bronze, and above the water line, I'm going to use the stainless steel. Now why am I using two different ones? Well, the stainless steel is considerably cheaper than the silicone bronze, and I don't need silicone bronze up here. If they were the same price, I'd put silicone bronze everywhere. But above the water line, and you can see right here, silicone bronze, stainless steel, stainless steel, stainless steel. So that's how I'm going to do it. But I just wanted to let you guys know about that and why these screws look bigger, if you have noticed it during the videos. So here's the screw that came out, the number 8, and here's a number 10. Same length, but you can see there's quite a bit of difference in size of the threads and the shaft. And the head size is quite a bit bigger too. So with this older plywood, I know I'm getting a nice countersink. It's not a hole that's rotted away at all. And this one looks pretty clean, but when you get down here into these lower ones, and I'm gonna do one right now, you'll see that usually the countersinks aren't quite as nice. I'm making sure I clean out the head of this so I don't strip it, because I may reuse these number 8 screws for something else that's not critical. Some of these are in really good shape, and they're fine for interior work or something like that. So there's the number 8 1.25" flathead Frierson screw, and you can see that's a little dug up. It's just a little ratty because it's old. We'll come in with a countersink. Now we have a nice clean countersink, good wood. Now we're below the water line, so now we're going to use silicone bronze. A little bit of wax on it. Get in there. Again, this is a Frierson tip, and there is a difference. If you're going to use the Frierson screws, or are you going to take apart these old boats, get the Frierson tip. So now we got a nice clean number 10 silicone bronze flat-headed screw in there. And that's it for this week on the Wooden Boat Experience.